He didn't thank you for going back into it there, by the way. But
no, I don't think there's any. Obviously, James is very articulate and very intelligent rugby man. You know what I mean? So there's not. It's not a
analyst of the game. I know that, but I felt it was a good, important thing to say. That point about the infringements, every good team is at that.
Absolutely, and Leinster are at it, La Rochelle are at it.
For years we said
Ireland
the All Blacks amazing. Look at how they can play the referee, and even as opponents, you'd be lauding them for how they played the referee.
Even some teams you play, Sean Edwards for years. How much you look at his teams, the line speed, the defence, and honestly, I've commentated on those games at times, and you think they're half a yard offside, but there's 6 of them together in a line, and they're coming off so quickly. Nobody's shooting out of the line, and it's so difficult for referees. They need a lot more assistance from the assistant referees to pick up stuff. And if it's an individual shooting out, it looks very obvious. The crowd they start cheering, and referee goes hand out, he's offside. Of course you push the boundaries, and we did look at the All Blacks a lot, and it was mentioned when I played with Munster and with Ireland in earlier years, things they were doing when you analyse the opposition, the way they could block people out, escort runners going back, subtly stopping someone from making a challenge in the air, all that kind of stuff. Joe Schmidt's teams were really good at it, weren't they, for Ireland? And I wouldn't have looked at it as being. You look at it as being really shrewd and exploiting a little space. That got a fella standing here with his hands up like that, and is he actually blocking someone, or is he just standing in the way of someone? Do you know what I mean? And that happens a lot, and it's very difficult for referees, and there's a lot of problems at the breakdown still, in my opinion, as regards entry points. And there is our own player safety and protecting players. I made this point to someone after the game the other day. Munster had 4 HIAs in that game. 10, 15 years ago, those 4 players would have played on. So it in some ways it caused a concern that 4 players in one game, but honestly that would have happened and they would have played on before. So player safety is very important, and a big part of that is the breakdown. So it still needs to be policed very well.
It's refereed well, The 2 URC semis, so we'll reverse back into the Stormers Connacht tomorrow at 3 o'clock in a minute, but we'll continue with Leinster Munster for the minute tomorrow at the Aviva at 5:30. Bernard Jackman during the week I saw saying that with the injuries to Munster, it's a freebie for them.
You can look at it that way, and I was talking to Jaron Monday about this, and even on the podcast this week, are you in this bonus territory, and
they are, aren't they, realistically, as long as they don't get...
It depends what way you look at that as a player yourself, because if it can take away some pressure, it can enable a higher level of performance, in a sense that you're not restricted and tense and tight, and you nearly try something, and if one of these things come off, then you go, Jesus, this is great, we're in the flow, we're in the buzz. But if you allow it to kind of go, do I want to get back up as quick? Obviously you're not consciously making a decision like that, but out of desperation sometimes pressure can bring a level of performance in all sports. How often does the underdog shock the big team in a final? It can happen. The FA Cup for years was a great barometer for that. But so I think Munster will feel that they've got to have desperation here, and of course afterwards, and people outside of the group will think, they went to South Africa and salvaged their season, they qualified for Europe, they finished 5th, 3 great away results which you can build on, showed real steel, determination, a level of resilience that's required going forward, I think. Compared to a very poor start to the season where they lost 5 of their first 7 games, and even one of those wins early on against Zebra was no bonus point down in Cork. It cost them a point, could have been costly in the end, but it wasn't. After Glasgow was like this panic, God, the season could really peter out. They've just lost, they're in danger of not making Europe or the playoffs, and what they did in South Africa. And even going to Glasgow last week and fronting up from a physical point of view, Glasgow haven't been beaten there all season. The Stormers hadn't been beaten in 21 games at home. So they're things that you can say, right, there's something there that we can build on. So they finish strong. Will they kind of go, well, Leinster, the narrative is Leinster, no matter who they pick, will still win. It's in Dublin, they're too good. We've the injuries. If you buy into all that stuff, you're goosed. You need people in the dressing room this week going, this isn't bonus territory for us. This is...
Who are those people? Specifically, who are those people in the Munster
dressing room? You need leaders.
Who are they?
I don't know, because I'm not in that dressing room, but obviously Peter O'Mahony is a great leader for the team, and he showed brilliant leadership and fight and dogging in the last few weeks.
In or out this weekend?
They don't know still. They were giving him every chance. Conor Murray has been superb for Munster, and I think I've said this before, getting dropped out of the Munster 23 for Northampton in a European game is a big kind of... It's big news, for a guy at his level. His response has been superb, and he's an example for anyone dropped in any sport. All the stuff came out that week of him patting fellas on the back, encouraging people, being an unbelievably positive influence. It's difficult to kind of put your disappointment to one side, but that's how you respond, that's how you get back, and that's how you earn respect for people and become a real leader. So yeah, they need everyone right across the board talking it up and saying, look, there's an opportunity here. It's a very hard challenge, and for any team playing Leinster, no matter what team they play, they're at a level now that's really, they're so diligent in everything they do, their skill set, their tempo, their pace, their accuracy, all that kind of stuff, and they don't panic. They're a very strong, powerful, resilient team themselves. So it's going to be a very difficult situation for Munster, but they've got to believe that they need to bring a brilliant performance here and take their opportunities. And I think Graham Rowntree did say it, and it is obvious there's certain things they could have been a lot better at last week. They could have made it more comfortable for themselves around taking opportunities, but if they get a chance or two tomorrow, I think it's really to have any chance, they've got to. I think if they get a good start in the game and score some points early on, again, it's kind of obvious.
Those injuries that we mentioned, Murray, Snyman, Nash, Fekatoa, we're not sure obviously on O'Mahony or Jim Barron, I think might still be a doubt as well.
There's about 6.
It's hard to swing a positive from those injuries, but can there be an impact of players who will start a massive URC semi-final tomorrow that otherwise, if all those players were fit, wouldn't have? So if for them, I guess it's a free hit.
Yeah, it is in a sense, but it kind of, if they had the team that last week and probably the bench, you're saying, God, this is probably the strongest forward pack, certainly, that they could, close to the strongest forward pack that they could have available to themselves, and the impact off the bench very important as well. So it does give opportunities, I just think for any Munster fan or neutral would like to see RG Snyman out in the field, given his story and all, you know what I mean? It's just been unbelievably disappointing for him and unlucky for him, but I think he's never got a kind of crack at Leinster, and you just kind of think from a Munster point of view, he played that game a couple of years ago where he was lifted in the line out 4, 5, 10 minutes, was it? I can't remember. It was very early in that game, gone. So he would have been really important to him. But there is opportunity for other players, but it's highly unlikely that they will get a result. But I think they have a great opportunity to continue the fight and determination, adding a little bit of skill and opportunity taking their opportunities tomorrow. Leinster won't give them too many, but if they get one or two,
and being disciplined, Quinny, like Leinster's record
very important,
of like putting teams away when they pick up yellow cards or whatever is,
and it's not panicking really when they're piling on the pressure in the attack zone of the 22 that the referees and going like offside. That gives Leinster a real chance to play, and then if they don't score off that, they're doing the tap and go penalty. There was 2 of them down in Limerick, in the game at Christmas where Munster, after half time, Leinster have a sin binning. They score a penalty try. What a boost. They go ahead in the game at Thomond Park. Leinster a little bit weakened as regards selection. You think kick on here and they're gonna get a long awaited win in the league against Leinster, but in that 10-minute period they go up the field, score 2 tries and see out the game by a point. Shows how good they are and that they don't panic. So Very difficult task for Munster. But again, it's an exciting one if you're a player and you go, right, if you can build on that bonus territory thing, say, right, people don't expect us to win here. We do have a bit of a less pressurised situation. Build up a load of pressure that there's an expectation and there's a standard that you're trying to set as a group to say that we have to make sure we're on it here. But look, the worst thing that can happen Munster here is, and I don't think it will happen, is what happened last May, June. Remember the season went on later last year where it was a strong Munster team available to them and a very weakened Leinster team, and they lost 35-25 in that game.
Yeah.
That was a real kind of low point for them. So Leinster could go full tilt here. I don't think
team-wise
they will, but they'll still be very strong, and they'll probably have the bench loaded because Leo and
just in case
they'll see there's a little bit of momentum here with Munster as well.
On that, it's a shame that the injuries you can't account for because they can crop up at any point of the season, and it's just disappointing that there isn't, you'd love to have seen the two of them going full bore at it with nothing other than, let's say, in the immediate future, the URC final. The scheduling, I think it comes up year in, year out, but could they not just pull it 2 weeks forward to leave, let's say, URC final?
Possibly, yeah. It's hard. It's just
Champions
very hard
Cup
to
final.
find them. Yeah,
just to give themselves
when
the
they're
best
back
shot
to back,
having,
when you
because it feels a bit like after the Lord Mayor's show now tomorrow, whereas it should be the biggest event in town. But we're talking about Leinster holding back some of their players. Even
from a crowd point of view, I think it'll have an effect. Leinster have been, so many big games over a number of weeks. It's maybe there's, I think there'll be a decent crowd there, but this fixture, as you say, a league semi-final, the place should probably be full tomorrow.
It should be.
There's so many games on. It's a very difficult one, Adrian.
They have to make a cold decision at some point. We're going to pull it back.
Played in April and played,
bring it back
keep them a couple of weeks. It's hard because you've semi-finals and of both competitions and stuff going on. It's really difficult.
I think if they put their minds to it, it's not the hardest nut to crack.
It's a difficult one, but Munster have won 2 and 12.
Bad record at the Aviva as well.
One of them is the Rainbow Cup. So you go back to 2018-19, the last time they beat them in the league. So.
And a bad record at the Aviva, not only against Leinster, they just don't have a good time there.
Yeah, they don't. So. Yeah, maybe they'll.
So it's all set for a Munster win, is kind of what we're saying here. This is the day they draw the line.
Munster's to lose, yeah.
Yeah, Munster. I agree with you.
It's a good opportunity for Simon Zebo. I mean, when you see Nash out of the team, Earl's out for the season. Obviously,
he's not available, Shane. I don't think he is available. I think he's still injured.
There's talk that he might be available.
Well, there's talk that Munster are very depleted in that area. Aside from the 6 injuries last weekend,
Conway as well.
Conway isn't there. Liam Coombs is out as well, and Keith Earls, maybe a possibility. I don't know, but they have a lot of injuries, and the depth that Leinster have is a couple of years ahead of every other team, and it'll probably stay as strong. It's just hard to kind of chase that level of quality and depth, and they deserve massive credit. You know what I mean, for that. But
if you're Leo Cullen, how strong a team are you putting out considering the game next weekend?
I think he'll be cautious of that bit of momentum Munster have had in the last few weeks. They'll be pretty battle-hardened, determined. So I think he'll respect the fixture and not want to repeat of what happened last year with the Bulls. They'll want to win both competitions. I think they're that good to do that. They have the quality in players and the depth in players to do that. So I think they'll probably mix it up a little bit, and there'll definitely be a bit of a safety net on the bench as regards the power and quality if they need it.
I'm not going to ask you a prediction because I think that the natural conclusion to the conversation is leading one direction. It's not to say that will happen, but that's, I think, any prediction.
Unless Munster bring a 9 out of 10 performance and Leinster are off it a little bit, but that's probably the same. We're kind of saying, look, people are looking at the La Rochelle Leinster game the week after, given what we've seen from Leinster this season. That isn't talking rubbish and talking them up for the sake of it.
Logic says Leinster will win. That's the
yeah.
In the other game, Logic probably says the Stormers are going to win, and Connacht obviously have managed to beat a couple of South African teams this season, both of them at home. But the Ulster game will give them a lot of confidence. They are absolutely the sort of team, and listen to them during the week, who will go out there with absolutely believing that they can win that game.
Yeah, and again, it's kind of the mentality of going, well, people expect us to. They're definitely in a situation from where they were 6-8 weeks ago. the run was brilliant,
Yeah.
and to get into Europe and to be in the knockout stage and be in the semi-final now, and I mean that very respectfully. Like, they beat Munster at the start of the season and were brilliant against them. Munster beat them down Thomond Park. Both of them have had their struggles, particularly at the start of the season. Like, Connacht's was a dreadful start when you think of, and it was down to that 4G pitch that they ended up basically scheduling games away to start. They were away to Ulster and then they had to go to South Africa. So first 3 games, no wins. It was a very difficult start for them. So they've been brilliant, and they were brilliant and very deserving winners last week against Ulster.
Yeah.
And I think they're the kind of side that, in a sense, they play a little bit and use that bonus territory stuff, and they've done it before, where a little bit of a chip on the shoulder, which is needed, and if you use it in the right way. And but they had a brilliant determination last week. They were superb up in Belfast. They were up for the fight, and that you have to be up for the fight. And I think they have a real chance here. They could really cause problems for the Stormers. They've got to deliver up front as a pack of forwards, and the forwards that come off the bench, because they are very powerful. Scrum, line out, maul, all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure they look at Munster a few weeks ago. If you hold on to the ball for a period of time, you can ask questions. So they've got to be accurate. And again, they need that kind of 8 or 9 out of 10, most definitely, to get a result there. But they need their big players to step up, and leadership is a really important part of it. And again, there's similarities as regards, if players kind of are jovial about it and relax, yes, that can help, but they've got to have a little bit of fire as well.
His class, and like Carty playing well in his day, like you say, the leadership, the experience. There's like, it's not a stretch in the way that we assume the other game is a stretch. A lot of things have to go right for Munster.
The concern when you're playing the South Africans is the physicality and the size and the power and stuff like that. But if they get a good set piece, Connacht, and they're a very hard side to get the ball back off, and I think they butchered a few chances against Ulster last week. So if they're a bit more accurate and take their chances, they have a real chance. But it's a similar kind of scenario in both games, that the obvious favourites are the Stormers and Leinster, and unless the other two teams, Connacht and Munster, bring something special for a consistent level, which you wouldn't doubt them completely that they can't do something like that, because both sides have a feel-good factor, a confidence about them. I think Munster were obviously, Connacht can pick the same 23 from last week that travel and added players, which I actually kind of hit me during the week. Jesus, if Munster could pick the same 23, and have that bit of a buzz and adrenaline, whereas undoubtedly there's guys in the Munster dressing room going, Jesus, we're missing Snyman and Conor Murray and Fekito and Nash, and Diarmuid Byrne probably hasn't trained a lot. O'Mahony's probably hasn't trained a lot. They're not sure who's playing in the wing. The coach is scrambling for players. There's a bit more turmoil going on there. So they're in a good place going there, Connacht, and they have a real chance, and again, ifs and buts about the power, but I think they're capable, and they will feel very good about themselves. They have a real chance here, and possibly can cause them a lot of problems.
There seemed to be a lot of talk in South Africa during the week about the pitch again, like this discussion. It's fallen apart, apparently. The Stormers, I think they had a monster truck rally on it and stuff.
There is a new surface going down there. Jean de Villiers told me that a couple of weeks ago when we were there for the Munster game. So such a beautiful stadium, built for the World Cup. It's a fantastic venue, a great place. It's very intimate, and a lovely stadium.
Could be a mud bath. I think it was given a rain today, and these days
and
ahead of the game.
I'm not sure if that won't suit Connacht. They'll want a fast track. They'd love a fast track to play with, speed and stuff like that. But Stormers are a very good side, a very good attacking side as well. So it's a real interesting one. But it's a wonderful opportunity for both underdogs this weekend to kind of create a bit of grit and determination
behind Connacht in the first game anyway.
Definitely, and they've done brilliantly. And you know what, I think Andy Friend has done a wonderful job in Connacht. I know always the results haven't been where they wanted to, and not being in Europe last year, but the way they play, and the buzz and the adrenaline that comes out of the sports ground when they play there, and he's done a great job, and he'll be a loss because he was a gentleman and a great fella to talk to and meet, and I think he's done a brilliant job with Connacht. Mossy Lawler's going to Munster as well. So, like all teams, end up breakups, players moving on, coaches moving on. But I think Andy Friend has been brilliant for Connacht.
The URC Elite 15, as they've called it, has been named this week as well. I always feel I'm a bit queasy about these things coming out when there's such crucial games. It's like maybe it's the GAA, like surely the team that gets to the final, and let's see, just like three of the most important games have yet to come, but here's our team of the year.
Ridiculous.
Anyway, and it's also like one of the very few teams, Quinny, that you're not on the selection committee for, so you're not happy with how it's been selected. It's like the only team, so they should have known they were going to fail before. The Irish interest in it, just in case people haven't seen it, Dan Sheehan and Finlay Bealham were chosen in the front row. You've Niall Murray in the second row. You've Gavin Coombs and Scott Penny in the back row, and then across the back you've Ross Byrne. And that is where it ends from the Irish interest. And there's one player particularly, Quinny, that you're not happy has been left out of it.
Who's that now?
John Klein.
I think he's been brilliant this year. I think, in fairness, when you look at the team, and I went through this team last night, if you go through all the players, you think, geez, how many games did that guy play? I can't remember him that much, and it's hard to go through every player. Darcy Graham, I was thinking for Edinburgh. Jeez, he got injured in that Munster game in December, and he came back towards the end of the season. But then, in fairness, he played 9 games and he scored 12 tries. That's a serious return and he's such a brilliant player. Sione Tupeloto from Glasgow, 9 games plus the quarter-final, so 10. Some players high level. Niall Murray in the second row for Connacht. 15 games plus the quarter-final. So he was there, ever present, and I think he's had a brilliant season. Federico Ruzza, the Benetton second row, played 9 games. I just think John Klein should be in there. And again, I'm pro John Klein. I don't mind saying this. I think he's been, even at the start of the season when Munster were struggling, he was constantly making carries, making tackles, work rate through the roof. He's played 17 games this year in the league, ever present, never injured, constantly at it. And I think he's very unlucky. And I probably, obviously from doing the Red 78, the Munster podcast, we picked a star of the week of, part of the analysing the Munster group with Niamh and myself, and we've picked him loads of times because he's just been there all the time. Yeah. So if you're talking about consistency, I'd probably get criticised now saying it's Munster bias, but I feel for him because I love the fact that it's just the work rate is through the roof constantly. I know the skills are sometimes questioned. I think they've got better, but other than that, it's a very strong team and going through it all. Finlay Bealham is in there tight. He's played 11 games and a quarter final, so 12. Some Scott Penny at 7, deserves to be in there.
Brilliant, yeah.
Grant Williams, the scrum half. I think not a lot of people would have seen a huge amount of him up to this year, but he scored a try against Leinster last week. He's been brilliant in the league as well. So, again, it's a team that it's people can debate and talk about, but it's hard to debate it when you look at the number of games and some of the returns these players have had.
Are you what sort of? You must be doing some gig. There's a gig somewhere for you tomorrow in the stadium, isn't there?
There's no gig
whatsoever.
No gig?
No. Are you going to it? You have other stuff on.
I haven't. I might watch on TV. Yeah. I'm not working for it tomorrow, so
busman's holiday.
Sit back and relax, and hopefully you might be travelling to South Africa next week if Munster were to win. Play the Stormers, or else it'd be Munster Connacht maybe.
Munster
Sorry,
yeah.
Jeez, why would I be going to
exactly
Munster Connacht? Yeah. And Thomond Park next week.
I'm looking forward to it big time, I must say. I've having the 2 kids booked in, so we're
you go to Limerick next week to see Munster Connacht in the final.
We'll see how the weekend unfolds. That politically, it's all about stepping around politically this morning. Thanks a million. Enjoy the games over the weekend.
Pleasure.
Thanks for that. And